Hello, Ace History. Let's learn about Turabian. What is Turabian? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Turabian is about the Chicago style of writing. And really, it's just named after a lady that wrote a manual for writing Chicago style. And it was such a great manual that people said, we're going to make it our own style. The differences between MLA and Turabian. Really, the biggest difference is those of you that use MLA are used to putting the author and the page number in parentheses. Seems pretty simple. Well, it's really just about the in-text citations. Instead of author and page number in parentheses, we are going to insert footnotes. It's all about footnotes. There's a few other differences. The style, where you put commas and periods, are a little bit different. You also have, instead of a works cited page at the end, you have a bibliography page, which they're basically the same thing with different names. Instead of a title or a heading at the top of your paper, you have a title page. Okay, so really hopefully it doesn't confuse you too much. I'm only showing you this because at some point I'm thinking you're probably going to use it, especially if you're looking at a career in the social studies type of path, I guess you could say. I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about with these footnotes. So if you're writing your paper and you're writing about Mr. Collins said, you seem to be dipping and dapping, and you probably don't know what is happening. See this little guy right here, superscript 1? That's what you're going to put in there, and I'll show you how to do those. Fairly simple. And then corresponding with this, you are going to have at the bottom of your paper one of these, and this is your footnote. And we're going to use the shortened version of footnotes because it's easier, and a lot of colleges are okay with that. The only difference between the shortened version and the full version, obviously, is that the shortened version is shorter. And this is basically what I just said. Actually, a lot of people don't realize this, but in Turabian's guide, there is a parenthetical style like MLA. I'm not going to let you use that because I think it will confuse you. There are slight differences between MLA, and MLA is confusing enough, and Turabian is confusing enough. And if you're both using almost the same stuff, I think you're going to mix them up. So we're just going to use the footnote style. And this is what a lot of history professors are going to ask you to use. Now, short form, what I'm going to ask you to use is what most professors say are okay for class papers. It is easier. And I copied this slide, in case you couldn't tell, from a different PowerPoint. But it breaks it down pretty easily. Okay, so this would be a full note. Notice that it's almost like a bibliography or a works cited, it's got all this stuff. We're not going to use this because this has a lot. By the way, the big difference between your footnotes at the bottom of your paper and your bibliography page is that instead of the author's last name coming first, it's normal. Okay, but see how this lists everything: the author, the full name of the title, publisher, date of publication. We're not going to add all that in the footnote. We're going to put that in the bibliography, but not the footnote. This is what I would do for this one. This is the shortened version. Ready? Right here. Francis, submarines. Okay? I just put his last name, submarines. Okay? Really simple. Really simple. Now, here's an example of the bibliography page. Alright, I'm going to hit enter a few times here. This is going to be centered. I'm going to title it bibliography. It's not going to be underlined. It's not going to be italicized or bolded. And then this is going to be in alphabetical order, just like it normally would. And you're going to list the full source here. Okay. There's a hanging indent. I think there's a hanging indent in MLA too, right? So notice down here we have the 3 dashes. I can't remember if this is a thing in MLA, but in Turabian, so I have an author who wrote 2 books, and I'm citing both books in my paper. Okay, instead of relisting his name, I just put 3 dashes and the name of his other book and when that was published, and so on and so on. You have to have page numbers. Also, you must have a title page. However, your title page usually does not get a number. So this is a little tricky to do on Word. So what I tell people to do is type up your paper on one Word document, and then when you're done with your paper, just type up a second Word document and put your page numbers on your paper, but on your separate Word document that you've created a title page, just don't insert page numbers. It's a little bit easier, I think. Here's an example of a title page. You're just going to go about 1/3 of the way down. There's no exact rules for where this has to be, how many times you have to hit enter. It's about 1/3 of the way down. And then you're going to have your name, the title of your, or not the title of your class, but the name of your class. So you'd put your name, ACE history, and then the date. And this is your title of your paper. And if you have a subtitle, so you'd have your main title, like Moving Networks into the Compositions Classroom. That sounds exciting. And then your subtitle is A New Way of Thinking in the 21st Century. That would be listed under here. Okay. My name is not needed in the title page. Don't put my name. I know my name. Thank you. Other nuances, 10 to 12 point font. Probably want to choose 12 point. That would make more sense. Double spaced, except block quotes, bibliography. Block quotes, I think these are a thing in MLA, if I remember right. It's been a while, but if your quote is 5 lines or more, you're going to use a block quote. Just to let you know, your paper should not have many of these, especially if it's only a 4-page paper. That's a way of fluffing it up, and I don't like it. If you introduce with a complete sentence, end in a colon. If you're not introducing in a complete sentence, you would just put like a comma or just a comma. Single spaced. Here's an example. Obviously you wouldn't have this bullet here, but this was Rose eloquently sums up his argument in the following quotation, and then there it is, and then you put your footnote at the end after the period. Footnotes go after the periods. Now here's something that I like. IBID. Anybody ever seen IBID in a book that you're reading? IBID is Latin for IBIDM, which is in the same place. That's what it stands for. It's a way to save time, really. You can use it if you're repeating a footnote from the same source on the same page and the same page of your paper. Now, if it's not the same page that's of the source, that's okay. And what I mean by that, here's an example. So this is a shortened footnote, which I let you use. Author's last name's Hall. Work is The Roman Gladiator, and the actual full name of the work is The Roman Gladiator in the Roman Empire's Greatest Time. Okay, let's say that it says that. I made this whole thing up, but Hall, I put a shortened title here, which is okay in a shortened version, as long as there's not two books that start with the Roman Gladiator. You know what I mean? So if you have the Roman Gladiator in the Roman Empire, blah, 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 and then you have another book that's the Roman Gladiator in the Roman Republic, obviously I would just put the full title so it's not confusing. But if they're different authors, it shouldn't be a big deal. So Hall, the Roman Gladiator, comma, the page number from the source. Now, if I was taking something from the exact same source, from Hall, the Roman Gladiator, I would use IBID, but I'm taking it from a different page. That's okay. I'm just going to put the new page number. Notice IBID has a capital I and a period after it, since it's short for IBIDM, or IBIDM. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And then I put a comma after that. Okay? This is if you present data in tables or figures. I don't imagine that most of you are going to do that, but if you want to, you can refer back to this slide. I'm not even going to talk about it, but if you're curious, there it is. Typing in Word is simple. I'll show you in a second. Putting in PowerPoint is tricky, but it is possible. So from this point forward, if you are citing something in a PowerPoint, I'm going to have you use that, and I'll show you that quickly when we get to that point. Again, alphabetize your bibliography page. Titles of books and journals appear in italics. Article titles and titles of book chapters, essays, short stories, those appear in quotes. If an author isn't given, begin with the title. Multiple authors, there's rules for that. I'm going to attach on Edmodo a handout that's just a guide of the specifics. Like, I'm not getting the specifics in here, but like, you know, book print with one author, book print with two authors, online book, how to cite YouTube pages, how to cite DVDs, how to cite journal articles, magazine articles. I'm going to attach that because I mean that's going to take some time to look through. You're just going to refer to that. Plus, a lot of you are just going to use citation machine, but I'll show you that can be tricky too. Okay, so that's it. That's all you need to know. I'm going to show you something real quick. Give me a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. The page. So this is what I'm going to attach. This is from another college and just breaks down how you would cite everything. Note would be the footnote, bib would be the bibliography, breaks it down, even shows you how to cite sound recordings, blogs, YouTube, that kind of stuff, emails, how to format your paper. It explains to you how to cite stuff. It's very long, but if you scroll down, you can find how to cite specific things. Okay? I want to go to Word. I want to show you something. Okay. So this is how you would do this in Microsoft Word. Hold on. So I'm going to show you how to use this